Boys, welcome to this week's Kram. We hope you had an amazing winter break.
My name is Carter Phillips.
And I'm Fiona Vachta.
This KRM is composed entirely of the students' final projects for the first semester KRM class. It is full of stories our student journalists wanted to tell and wanted you to hear.
We start this week with a segment about the Pledge of Allegiance. Some students decide to sit while others choose to stand. Benjamin Ray and Brayson McCloy wanted to hear from students as to why they decided to do either.
Every morning to sign off the announcements, our school gives the Pledge of Allegiance. Our laws grant freedoms within the nation to allow us to sit or stand during the pledge. KRM looks into this, but first we ask our U.S. history teacher, Meredith Holloway, to find out more about its history.
So the pledge originated in the 1890s. The term United States wasn't actually included in the pledge until the 1920s, after a period of seeing rapid immigration in the late 1800s. And during this time, they changed it to where the term United States would be used to specify. This was also included using a hand salute. In the 1950s, it was changed again to add in under God. In 1943, there was a Supreme Court case that basically protected students' rights to be able to not have to say the pledge or salute the flag.
Our freedom of speech is important to us as citizens of the United States. We ask Megan Sanders, our principal, about what teachers should do to respect their students during the pledge.
When students choose to sit or stand for the pledge in the morning or at any time, that is a choice that they have, not just a student, but any person. That's a choice that they get. Students are no different in their choice to do that. And so as teachers, what we would encourage them to do is allow students to quietly and respectfully, do what they feel is best for them and do what they feel is right for them. We don't want teachers requiring it, nor do we want teachers saying that they can't do it.
We now ask the students for their opinion on why they sit or stand during the Pledge of the Allegiance.
So personally, I sit during the pledge because I found out that was like an option over like the quarantine break. I didn't know you wouldn't get in trouble if you didn't stand for the pledge. But then once I did, I realized I took time to personally look into what the pledge meant to me. And I always felt that I didn't really agree with everything that it was saying. The main line is one nation under God. I personally am agnostic, and so I guess I just don't agree with that, because there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and I don't feel that there is based on that line alone. And also the liberty and justice for all. There was a lot that happened in the United States over the course of quarantine. If you look back through the BLM movements and just other things that were happening, it seems that there's while not hugely openly present, there's still a lot of discourse between not everyone is getting justice they deserve, and it's not equal for everyone. And I'm queer. I personally haven't experienced any discrimination in Rampart's community, but where I grew up, I was severely bullied specifically because of my identity, and so I don't feel that the pledge really applies in the way that they think it should.
I stand for the pledge just because I believe it is respectful to the troops who have taken an oath to sacrifice their lives to protect us. I was raised in a military family my whole life, and I believe when I stand for the pledge, it gives respect back to my father who's in the military. And I plan to go into the military post-high school, so I believe that's why I stand for the pledge.
The meaning of the flag and this country doesn't really resonate with me, especially because it's for a country that doesn't really fight for people like me as a minority and multiple other minorities, and it's kind of out of respect for them and a respect for myself that I don't want to stand for something like that.
I stand during the Pledge of Allegiance because it's just respectful. I've had many family members in the military, and I just associate standing for the flag as a sign of respect for the people that have died for our country and died for our freedom.
Our community respects the voice of the students, no matter what it may be. You will always be welcome in Rampart. This has been Benjamin Ray, reporting for Kram.
Whether you decide to sit or stand, it is important to respect all students and their decision.
Before winter break, Rampart's French classes held their annual Bûche de Noël cake competition.
This event features traditional French log cakes that were judged by a panel of teachers through different criteria.
McKenna Blatnick and Caitlin O'Keefe documented this yearly event.
Recently, Rampart hosted its annual Bûche de Noël competition, where students can bake their own French delicacy and compete against other students to see who makes the best holiday treat.
Bûche de Noël, it's in English it's called a Yule log, but basically it's a traditional Christmas dessert. So it was a tradition on Christmas Eve to go out and get a very large piece of wood to put in the fireplace. There were some patisseries in Paris that came up with this idea to form it into a cake to keep the tradition.
Madam Turnquist and some participating students shared why this tradition started and why they wanted to get involved.
I actually started it during COVID. When everyone was at home, I thought, what would be a fun activity? So they made their cakes at home and then took pictures, and we voted on the pictures. And then when we came back and we were all in school again, I decided that it would be great for people to really make one, bring it to school, taste it, and see what results we could get.
So I decided to participate in the Bûche de Noël competition because I thought it would be a bunch of fun, and also one of my friends asked me to participate, so we just decided to do it together and experience it for the first time.
I really like baking just like in general, so I just wanted to do it, but also I'm doing the personal project this year. My personal project is to bake something from each continent, so that helps me with like Europe.
Well, I love cake. That's all I need to say about that.
The judges shared their criteria for the competition.
I'm going to judge on taste and look. Sometimes the look might not be so good, but the taste could be incredible. So you have to go by both of those things.
For a Bûche de Noël, a realistic looking log, and then the flavor.
There's one prize for the students' vote, and that's just pretty much on appearance, and then an best overall.
They all shared why events like this are important to the community.
I think it's important to have events like this because it really gets people in the holiday spirit, and it shows different traditions from other cultures, which I think that we do a very good job at Rampart High School of embracing the different cultures.
Every student, every person actually, sometimes needs a creative outlet. This is just an amazing display of creativity here. And we don't always get to do that in class. And so I think just having that opportunity for students to show their creativity, whatever it is important.
I think it's really important to have these kinds of celebrations and traditions during these kinds of times, just to have a lot of fun and become closer with the people that you want to be close with and enjoy yourself.
These are traditions that we have had as humans throughout history, and keeping these going is a good thing so that we can remember the past and improve upon them as we move forward.
Congratulations to Jordan Kasmer for winning the Student Choice Award, and Nadia Gigante and Sophie Butler for being the overall winners. Happy holidays, Rams. This has been McKenna Blatnick reporting for KRAM.
Interested French students are encouraged to sign up next year.
One of our exchange students, Jean-Luca Lobato Landi, went home over Thanksgiving break to Brazil.
He captured the differences between Brazilian high schools and high schools in the United States.
This Thanksgiving break, I had the opportunity to return to my country, Brazil, and I also used this chance to take Kram with me and interview some Brazilian high schoolers about how different they think high school is in the US.
Eu acho que a questão da cultura mesmo que afeta bastante, que deixaria muitos brasileiros deslocados na escola americana.
Cara, eu acho que a cultura brasileira ela é mais diversa, né? Eu acho que tem uma diversidade maior de pessoas, até no estilo, do estilo até o jeito de voz. Acho que tem uma diversidade maior, uma diversidade étnica maior.
Eu acho que além da infraestrutura, como você citou, também a cultura deve ser bem diferente, porque lá é tudo muito diferente daqui.
I asked them if there was anything that they thought in a Brazilian high school was better than an American one, and some responses were valid.
O carisma e o acolhimento que os brasileiros têm por conta da diversificação que a gente tem, que é ampla pra caramba.
Cara, eu acho que aqui o ambiente ele é mais confortável, eu acho que ele é um ambiente mais acolhedor. A cultura do brasileiro, eles sempre tentam acolher o máximo a pessoa para deixar ela o máximo tranquila possível.
Carisma, acho que seria isso.
But I also asked them about something that they wish they had that we only have here in the US.
Eu acho que o foco dos estudos para o que os estudantes realmente gostam. Ao contrário da escola brasileira, eu acho que eles focam mais em português e matemática do básico mesmo, ao que as pessoas realmente querem fazer.
Cara, eu gostaria que a influência dos esportes nas escolas brasileiras, eu gostaria que fosse igual às escolas americanas.
Acho que as comidas, o almoço, por exemplo, o café da manhã, acho que seria legal.
High school is pretty much the same everywhere, but we can clearly see some differences, either in architecture or in culture. I am happy to serve as a bridge between countries. This was Gianluca Lobato Landi reporting for Kram.
Thanks to John for giving us a new perspective.
With Kram being our school news that documents events around Rampart, the class in itself is not often reported about.
A lot goes into producing a segment every week. Gavin Carter and Maddie Spooner interviewed the student leadership of Kram to get more details.
We all know about our Kram newscast. However, do you know about all the behind-the-scenes work Kram leadership puts into the weekly broadcast? We decided to take a deeper look at what being a head editor means.
I decided to join Kram leadership because I wanted to take on more responsibility in the class.
I did it because I do editing already. That's something I have a passion for, and I wanted to be able to teach other people how to edit.
I think one of my favorite things about Kram is the independence. You do everything. So you have to get the interviews, you get the cover footage, you have to do things outside of school.
Stories that we wouldn't normally know get told. And I think it's probably one of the most innovative experiences for students on both sides of the camera.
I like Kram because I like what Kram does for the Rampart community. It brings it closer together and it tells stories that otherwise wouldn't have been told.
I've always struggled with finding my place, and Kram's my place. That's where I feel most at home. That's what I enjoy most. It's just being able to be with the people that do the same thing that I do.
I think Kram is a pretty important thing at Rampart because it really just shines a light on people. You learn things about people that you don't even really know, but they go to your school.
It's one of the only classes you can take where it's all 4 grades put together.
It's just important to educate people. I feel there's so many things that go on here at Rampart that people don't know about.
Although being a head editor is hard work, they enjoy their leadership role in the class.
Once I have the basis of what the story is going to be, I make a list of people I want to interview for that story, and then also what questions I'm going to ask them. So I'll get the interviews and then cover footage, and then I'll just piece the whole thing together.
Making a Kram segment is a little bit more of a process than I think a lot of people realize. You have to get the cover footage and the interviews, you have to write the questions, and then editing it down to 3 minutes from 20 minutes of video it just takes a long time.
Just kind of perfecting it, getting it to how I want, and then I'll send it in. It's really not too difficult for me, but there are some times where I get a little under pressure and can get a little scary.
Probably a lot more involved than everyone understands or realizes. We'll plan out, 4 or 5 news packages per class, put a student in charge of each group, and then assign everyone else to work underneath the leadership of a student.
What I like about the Kram staff is how we're all just very connected, I feel like.
Well, I love Mr. Mooring. He's probably one of my favorite teachers of all time. I like all the head editors. Everyone's super chill with each other. Everyone's a lot of fun to hang out with, when we go to the head editor meetings and stuff like that.
I think that more people should join Kram because it's a really fun class and you really get to connect with your group. And I also think it's really fun to do creative pieces.
Being a student journalist is a growth experience for just about everyone. So the answer is, I think Kram is good for everybody.
There's nothing I advocate more at this school than to join Kram. It is the most fun I've ever had. It is the most fun class you will take.
Our Kram head editors take pride in the hard work and devotion they put towards the journalism program at Rampart. If you think you'd be interested in a leadership position in Kram next year, don't be afraid to ask questions. This has been Maddie Spooner and Gavin Carter reporting for Kram.
If you are interested in contributing to our school news and telling stories our students want to hear, consider signing up for electronic media next year.
Rampart's Winter Percussion is joined by Air Academy students for the 2nd year this year. Mason Mills and Thomas Monty got the story about the transition from in-season band to winter percussion.
This year, Rampart's indoor percussion is combining with Air Academy for the 2nd time. But unlike last year, the ensemble is moving up a class competitively.
So far we're just getting started into the season, but it seems a lot more focused and productive than it has been in seasons past, and also just the general skill level is higher.
This year we've got a whole lot more interest and a whole lot more members. We had 35 spots originally, and we had 50 people auditioning, so we've got a much larger talent pool to select from.
In the battery, we definitely have harder show music, and then probably a
more like tight wound rehearsal etiquette, like just no pecking, no talking unless like we're not doing anything.
This year compared to last is pretty different. There's a lot more people from our academy, which I think is cool, and there's also a lot more people from Rampart's run ensemble that I'm just now meeting, and I think they're pretty cool too. It's a much more intense program this year, I feel, but like in terms of the show music and not so much like the people and the relationships are really good this year.
Moving up to open class is kind of like a dream of mine, as I've seen like tons of other open class bands and I thought I could be with them, and just now finally getting to really compete on the same level as them, it just feels really nice.
And I think it'll be fun being against other schools than last year, like different schools.
I'm very excited, and I hope that reflects in our show design and what we can achieve this.
My goals are definitely to grow the like community more too, like making sure all of us are like welcomed and like we're all just like a big family.
My goal is just to be the best player I can be, and also just help our new players, since I'm one of the 2 seniors on the drum line.
This year we moved to open class to just really provide another level of challenge for the students with the combined group this year.
So we moved to open class because we've been kind of building up the ensemble over the past few years, and this is kind of the next logical step in order for us to keep pushing newer and newer concepts. Well, one of the biggest things is we have a lot more involvement from Air Academy High School, which we went from 5 students from Air Academy last year to 15 this year, which is pretty exciting. Definitely a bigger group, which means we are more able to kind of push into that next level.
My goal for this year is just to make sure that the students learn, have fun, and just be as competitive as possible in this new class.
The goal for this year is to kind of establish ourselves in the new class, as well as continue to push like further into education and developing all of the students in the ensemble.
Good luck, Rams and Cadets, on your season this year. This has been Mason Mills reporting for Kram.
The Winter Percussion Group will be competing at the regional and state levels this year. We wish them luck.
When most people think about art, drawings and paintings come to mind. Music is not often discussed in the context of art, although it is very common.
One of our Rampart students is very passionate about producing music and dreams of making it his career.
Many of our Rampart students have interesting hobbies outside of school that you might not know about. Seneca is one of them. He produces music and dreams of making this his profession. Kram asked Seneca how he got into making music.
I really like the equipment that they use because I saw like people like use the equipment. And then when I was 11, my dad, he got me MPK, which is like, you know, the equipment. Then I got the software, and then I got into it. So.
Some of Seneca's friends and teachers know about his passion.
I first heard about Seneca producing music probably last year when he was in my class. He would come in a lot in the morning and we'd just get to talking, and he would show me a lot of the beats that he made, which is pretty cool.
Probably like last year, because I was asking about making some music. He was like, I produce music, and he sent me some of his songs, and it was pretty good.
Kram inquired about Seneca's goals for the future.
I really just hope to, you know, produce for, you know, big artists. It doesn't really matter what genre. I'm like, you know, I say I'm pretty diverse when it comes to my music, but yeah, I just want to get big on big records and stuff like that.
I know he has like connections, and I feel like he can go really far if he just keeps like producing and giving out good music.
I know Seneca has some really big goals about what he wants to do with his music, and honestly, from what I've heard, I think he could go really far with it.
A lot of producing music has to do with publicity and getting your music out to be heard. Kram asked how Seneca has achieved this.
Last year, I went to this thing called Swish Fest up in Denver. It was pretty cool. I met a couple rappers. Nothing like major, you know, but I got to showcase my music. I met a lot of cool people. You know, I have a YouTube channel and stuff too, so, you know, go check that out. You know, proud Seneca. It's me, guys. Seneca's
friends and teachers have noticed the positive impact that Seneca's music has had on him.
He's just in his own world when he produces music, and it just makes him a happier person, and his emotions are always out.
It has a little bit right now because it's something to do, like a hobby, but it definitely will in the future. I feel like more than it does now, because I think he'll do pretty good.
From what I can tell, it's a really good outlet for Seneca. Sometimes when he's going through hard things in his life, he uses producing music as a way to kind of escape, and it's something he's really passionate about, and it's really interesting to hear him talk about music in general. He's just very knowledgeable.
If you're passionate about it, if you really like it, then stick to it. There's a lot to learn about it. I'm still learning stuff, I'm not no expert or anything like that, so yeah.
We wish Seneca the best of luck in his future endeavors. This has been Fiona Vachta reporting for Kram.
Seneca, along with Devontae Jones, will be the DJ at tonight's Snowball, so make sure to be there at 7.
Kram will go further in depth in next week's segment about these student DJs.
That's all for this week, Rams.
This has been Fiona Vachta
And Carter Phillips,
signing off.
I'm hitting the whip. I'm whipping.
But I'm a creep.
I'm a weirdo. What the heck? I even did something here.
Thank you. Killed that.
I am so good.